Hello, YouTube. I'm just waiting for Facebook. I'm just waiting for people to turn up, basically. I have a whiteboard, and I accidentally wrote with the permanent marker on the whiteboard instead of the whiteboard marker. That's not coming off. Anyway, I think I'd learn. Okay, let me get this in here. There we go. So I've got my cameras close together so it doesn't look like I'm ignoring YouTube. Okay, just waiting for everyone to turn up. Hello. Welcome to the live. Just waiting for you to turn up. I never know what to say when I'm waiting for people to turn up because I don't want to start anything. So, okay. I was at the gym this week. I go every morning and like early, and it's just been empty. It is so nice to go to the gym and not have to wait for machines. Okay. I'm a parenting coach, by the way, just to check with you, just to make sure you know where you are. Okay, yeah, I don't know why you're talking. I'm a parenting coach. By the way, well, let's just get going. My name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on the link above, you can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses. There's 4 of them: bedtime battles, potty party, tantrums, and toddlers who hit. Then I also have my big course. It's the 3 to 12 years old, how to get respect. It's called the boot camp. And you might want to check those out. If not, you can look into coaching. And I do have a big wait list for that. Geez, I haven't even had a chance to look at the wait list. I'm curious now. Anyway, yeah. And what I do though is what's happening is I haven't been able to take on any new clients, or not hardly any, because I'm getting past clients coming back and they take precedence. So, stuff comes up over the years. All of a sudden your kid's getting bullied. Everything's going great at home, but your kid's getting bullied. So then they hire me again. Okay. Geez. Okay. Yeah. It's a pretty big wait list. But anyway, I'm hoping to get through that tonight. Okay. So anyway, sorry about that. Waco, Texas. Hello, Waco. I'm here in Vancouver, Canada. If anyone knows Vancouver, I live, where Science World is, it's called Falls Creek and Olympic Village and all that. That's where I live, in that area. So right downtown. It's a great area. It's very pretty. And I never take it for granted. Every single morning I wake up and I pinch myself. I've lived here for 8 years now, and I'm a city girl. Yeah, I love my place. I'd be happy in any big city though. I'm a big city girl. I think I could live in any big city. Northumberland, UK. Northumberland. I hope I said that right. I don't know how else you'd say that, but I usually get it wrong. Okay, so let's get going with your parenting questions. Happy Thursday, happy 4th of July to all my American friends. We had our Canada Day on the 1st of July, and now it's our Canada Day. It's kind of a big deal, but it's nothing like your 4th of July. Like your Thanksgiving is huge too. Ours isn't. Not like yours is. So yeah, 4th of July is a really big deal down there. I only had, I wasn't going to have any coaching clients today because I'm working on something. But anyway, I only had one coaching client today. So, but yeah, it just felt weird to only have one. Devon, hi, Devon. Devon, England. Hello, Devon, England. Nova Scotia. Okay, absolutely love your videos. Came across one last week and can't stop watching. That's so sweet. I'm like that too. If I find something that resonates with me, I binge watch all their stuff. Then I get bored and move on. I'm not saying you should do that, but it could happen. Okay, so let's get going with your parenting questions. I'll do the best I can to answer them. And what I do is I like to mix up the ages. And also I do tend to scroll through just to make sure people are still here when I answer. So I can't find my stuff here. I'm going to tell you something cute though. I had this darling client this morning, and all my clients are darling. They're all so young, right? They're my kids' ages. So anyway, and they said, is it okay if our other kid helps the kid who's being punished with a chore, if they help them with the chore? Because they keep wanting to help. And I was like, aw. So yeah, that's okay. How cute is that? You've helped me and my son a ton. Marissa Smith. I've had a Marissa as a client. I don't recognize Smith. Were you a client? Or I'm wondering, now I'm wondering just out of curiosity, Marissa, did you just get the behavior board or you're just watching my videos? Oh, what's going on? Oh, I thought I'd turned that off. Just a sec. I want to turn off my alarm. Sorry, I just had to go turn off my alarm. Because I had it on snooze and it was just going to keep going. Anyway, Marissa, you're on YouTube and I'm just curious, how did I help you? Behavior board and videos. Excellent. See, you don't have to always hire me or buy my courses. A lot of people are getting great results just by using the free behavior board and all my videos. There's lots of stuff out there. I'm on here pretty much every day and it's all these lives are free. All my videos are free. My behavior board's free too. So how do I get my almost 3-year-old boy, youngest, out of my bed and into his own at night? He just okay. Check out my bedtime battles course because it is a whole system. It's a whole sort of a method, and it's in 2 parts. It's called the bedtime battles course, and it's in the link above. It's one of my mini courses from 2 to 8 years old. Getting them to bed is the easy part. Keeping them there is the hard part. But it's just a matter of you just keep putting them back to bed. The first time you put them back to bed, you say, I said it's bedtime, don't get out of bed. The second time you say one word, bedtime. Every time after that, you don't talk to them or look at them. You just slowly but surely put them back to bed. Only one body part might touch the mattress. That's okay. You're putting them back to bed, right? So yeah, it's brutal. It can be. Oh, it's a good cup of tea. I signed up for the behavior board, but haven't received it. It takes about 30 minutes. Okay. I actually ignore all those emails because I know most people who do say they didn't get the behavior board, they just haven't waited for like 30 minutes. I think it's written on there. I think my daughter put that on there and said, give it a half hour. We've got like a third-party delivery system. We've got all sorts of stuff going on with emails. So yeah, it just takes a while. Tips for 4-year-olds scared of toilet usage for bowel movements. Yeah, the poop phobia. Super common, especially with boys. Girls too, but especially with boys. Anyway, there's 3 reasons why children don't want to poop in the toilet. Number 1 is they're used to having their poop all smashed up in diapers. So it's kind of comforting. They don't like the feeling of it hanging. Also, it's cold. All of a sudden, their bum's cold while they're pooping. And the last one is plop phobia. If it's hit the water before and they got splashback, they didn't like that. Now, why do boys especially are less likely to want to poop on the toilet? It's because they've got more equipment hanging down there and they don't like that splashback. So anyway, here's what you do. You say, okay, so I understand you don't like pooping on the toilet. I got you this little potty, and you put toilet paper in the bottom so they can feel something touching their bum. There's no splashback, and hike the heat up in the bathroom. So yeah, might not work. And never, ever, ever discipline for anything related to bodily functions. It's just a process. Any tips for a 2-year-old who won't stop hitting, even telling him no stopping him before the strike, removing the fun from him? It just takes repetition, but you stay consistent and calm throughout, and he will eventually learn. A lot of parents give it a go for like a few days and it's not getting any results, and they just get frustrated and start yelling, and that it might take a couple of weeks. So I put oil on myself. You ever do that? Put oil on yourself and it's just a mess. Anyway, sorry about that. I feel like a sticky mess. Anyway, but yeah, they take a while. It's repetition. I do have a course on toddlers who hit. If you're interested, it's one of my mini courses. If you want to check that out, might have a few more tidbits in there about that. But yeah, 5-year-old who won't let go of binky. So a binky, now that could be a soother or a pacifier or a dummy, or it could also be just a blanket that they like to hold on to. So which is it? Some people call the binky the blanket. So it depends on where you're from or what family you're in. Everyone calls it something different. I'm not sure if this is behavior per se, but what is the right age to start taking away a nook? What's a nook? Do I wean? Okay. Oh, so what's the right age to start? I don't know what a nook is. Is that rude? Sometimes I'll say things and I don't know they're rude. Do I wean? I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, well, I'll just make something up. So if you're trying to wean them off the boob or off the bottle, yeah, do it cold turkey. But replace it with something else. You don't just take something away. You replace it with something else. So get them some fun sippy cups or something. That's what I did with my son when I weaned him off the dummy, the soother, the pacifier, whatever you want to call it. And he was 18 months old. And he had tantrums, but he never had a tantrum or anything. I couldn't believe it. Got lucked out. But I got him new sippy cups. Pacifier. Okay. Yeah. So I think I answered that. Nook is a pacifier. What the heck? I'm going to write that down. Is that a common thing? I've never heard that before. I'm going to look it up later. Okay. Happy 4th of July, I'm assuming. Yeah, I'm Canadian. We had our Canada Day on Monday, which is July 1st. And then today is the 4th of July, big, huge thing in America. So happy. And it's been very quiet here. I haven't been getting a lot of emails. Most of my clients are American. So, but yeah. Okay, happy 4th. Thank you for your response. I love watching your videos, and I bought the boot camp. Okay, and I've just started the boards. Excellent, good for you. The boards, there's one board when you start, right? Not 3. Yeah, you just start with 1. Timeout tips. Don't do it. I hate timeout. I can't stand it. That's my tip. Don't do it. Watch me and you'll learn everything else to do. You can check out my behavior board. If they're 3 and over, you start with the behavior board. If they're under 3, that is 1 and 2 years old, then you use consistent corrective actions right in the moment. I'm going to read out my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Number 1, child-proof your home so you never have to say no. Number 2, set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. Number 3, when you want to connect with a toddler, you do so in their world. You don't go to the nail salon or the cafe with them. You go to the park and roll down the hill with them. They do look at you differently when you get good at this, being silly, finding your inner toddler. And number 4, when you're disciplining a toddler, you do so in their world. They're not about words, they're about actions. You know, all these mini therapy sessions discussing all their big feelings and big emotions, it's garbage. Absolute crap. That was invented to make the mom feel good about herself. It's not for the toddler at all. They're all about actions. So use consistent corrective actions. And then number 5 is stop trying to figure them out. Toddlers are not figure outable. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They're just forming. They might even go like this and smear poop on the wall. Can you figure that one out? You know. Maybe just got one marble and some tumbleweed floating around in here. You just got to be patient. But these 5 tips are sort of to help you to understand toddlers and help to manage their environment and manage yourself. But yeah, you're just going to have to survive it too. Sometimes I'm talking to a client and they have older kids and I'll say, and they'll have a toddler and I'll say, oh, do you want to talk about the toddler? And they go, no, they're just nuts. So they've already lived through it, right? So although sometimes they'll have a really easy kid, then they'll get a difficult toddler and that difficult toddler is often more the norm than that first one was super easy. I always say I'm really lucky that I had my kids in the order that I did. My son had tantrums. He was highly sensitive. He just was, the more sensitive child. So, but he was still, I would call him a pretty easy kid, actually. But my daughter never had tantrums, nothing, never cried, nothing. Easiest kid in the world. No matter what you said to her, she just did it. And she was just accommodating. And anyway, I always used to joke. I said, if I'd had her first and then him, I would have adopted him out. Yeah, she was the easiest kid. I can't take credit for that. She was just super easy. Okay. 16-month-old throwing themselves back with their head. Yeah, just physically restrain them. If not, get them a foam helmet or get them any kind of bike helmet, whatever you want to do. Put a helmet on them. So every time they throw themselves back, you got to be quick though, so they connect the dots. When you throw yourself back, you got to wear a helmet. It's amazing how quickly they catch on with that one. I'm always surprised. Yeah, I had this client this morning. They were unusual. They were darling young couple, but the mother's just got this intuition. They're just doing fantastic. Usually there's a lot more questions. And the only questions they asked are, well, this is what we did. Was that right? And I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't even have thought of that. It's really good. I love coaching. I love meeting all of you. And I just love it. But anyway, they're little ones. When they get a consequence, the other one helps the other one with the chore, the consequence. How cute is that? Yeah, they're just a darling family. Okay. Still breastfeeding my just turned 3-year-old. Any tips on gentle weaning? Well, I don't teach gentle weaning. I just teach weaning. So yeah, you can't guide me into gentle weaning. I'll say what I do. I just say, that's it. This is what I did with my daughter. My son weaned himself at 10 months old. he would bring my nipple right across the room just to look at whatever was going on. He just, oh, geez. As soon as I gave him the bottle, his feet and his hands went all over it, and he was rolling around happy as anything, and so was I. So, but yeah, that was 10 months old. My daughter was 14 months old, and she would have been on it for a very long time on the boob. Anyway, so what I did, it just happened we were going away. So we went away on vacation. And so it was a perfect time. It was a different environment. I wore different clothes, so she couldn't get underneath. She couldn't get access, right? And I never gave her a lap. I made sure I was never sitting down. If she started coming near me, I'd stand up and I'd say, oh, I forgot to do that. So she was sort of just stuck with dad, who didn't have any milk, right? So it worked out really well. But she didn't really ever cry. She just was sort of confused. But I had a sippy cup. She got it, though. I said, no, here's your milk. And I don't think I even expressed. I don't think I did. But yeah, just that's the way I did it. That's what I recommend. But yeah, I got her new sippy cups. You always replace, if you're taking something away, replace it with something else. So I got her new cute little sippy cups with straws or whatever. I can't remember. It's a long time ago. Tips for transitioning times for strong toddlers. Okay. Strong-willed toddlers. Anyway, transitions are often hard for toddlers, especially if they're having fun. They don't do well with being pulled away from fun. You can't always manage that. That's more of a slow burn. They're going to learn eventually that sometimes you just have to leave the fun, but don't expect them to learn that right away. It's a slow burn. It takes time before they really get that. And you can sort of say, we're going to be leaving in a few minutes, and they'll probably go, okay. But then when you go to leave, they're still going to have a fit anyway. So you can't prevent everything. You can't prevent scenes, meltdowns, fits, and tantrums, nor do you want to. That's them processing, hey, not everything goes my own way. And it's important that they go through that. If they are inclined to have tantrums, it's important that you don't interrupt those tantrums. And don't be afraid of them. If you're afraid of a tantrum and you're doing everything to please them to avoid one, you become the pleaser parent, and that's a disaster. So yeah. I remember my son did have tantrums, and when he was really little, he didn't do well with transitions. If he was having fun somewhere, it didn't matter what I did, what I said, didn't matter. He was going to have a tantrum. And I can remember many times having him up under my arm, carting him up to the car, buckling him in, screaming. Yeah, just part of it. But he knew when I said, here's the key. When I said we're leaving, we left. He learned pretty quickly when mom says something's going to happen, it happens. You've got to mean what you say and say what you mean, and do what you mean, what you say, what you mean. I don't know. I always get that mixed up. Anyway, but yeah, you got to follow through. Just be careful what you say. So, you absolutely have to follow through, but think before you say something. I'll tell you something stupid I did. We used to live in Australia. That's where my kids were born and raised. And we lived in Brisbane, and we were going down the Gold Coast to Dream World. If you're from Australia, you probably know what that is. The Gold Coast is like a theme park alley. There's a whole bunch of theme parks. But anyway, we went to Dream World a lot. It was an hour's drive. Anyway, my friend and I were going to take the kids down. She had 2 kids in her car, and I had my son in the other. So, because we couldn't fit them all in one car. Anyway, we got down there, and my son was just in a mood. He was in a mood. He was probably 3, I guess. I don't know. And I said to him when we got there, I was sick of it. He was just in a mood. He wasn't saying much. He was just kind of cranky looking. So I said to him, if you don't put a smile on your face, we're going home now. And he instantly went like that. My friend went, oh no, because she knew. And as soon as I said it, I thought, how stupid. What if he doesn't put a smile on his face? I would have driven home. I would have had to. And that's why my friend went, oh no, because she knew that if he didn't start smiling, but he did. But yeah, you got to be careful what you say, because you got to follow through. Okay, happy 4th of July if you're American. I think most people on here that follow me are American. And I know 4th of July it's a big deal down there. I've never been down there for 4th of July. We just had our Canada Day. It's not as big a deal as your 4th of July is. Okay. We have 3 car seats for 3 different cars. 1 2-year-old that has figured out how to get out of all 3 of them. There are devices that you can buy. I can't remember what they're called, but someone else mentioned it on here. They knew what it was called. It's a safety vest or safety clamps or safety cover for car seats. And it's actually was evidently invented for disabled children who are older and can figure out how to get out. So it's a way of preventing them from getting out. But then they realized they had to make them for mainstream too, because a lot of little ones can figure that out. So yeah, just go look on Amazon or Google, whatever, and find it's a safety thing so they can't get access to it. A lot of my clients have bought that. And then they said they always have a fit when they realize they can't get in there. And I'm like, good, that's part of the process. Behind every fit, scene, meltdown, and tantrum is a lesson. If you try and avoid all those lessons, you're not doing yourself or your child any favor. Do you have any memorable challenges with your children when they were around 7? Any stories? No, my kids, I got respect when they were little, so they were pretty easy. I've done a couple dumb things. Oh, I'll tell you what I did that was really stupid. Talk about stupid. Anyway, it's a funny story, something I did wrong as a mom, and how you make it up to your kids when you mess up. Anyway, my son was 8 years old, and we just had a new PlayStation, and we had like Crash Bandicoot, which he started with, but then he got some other game that was more like, I think, driving. Anyway, so he was only 8 years old, and he was really into this PlayStation. So it's Saturday night. Now, he's been working for weeks to get up to this level on the driving game, right, which I never looked at. I didn't understand it. So anyway, he was working for weeks, very proud of his level, and we had a memory card. So we saved it on the memory card. So he goes to bed. So my husband at the time and I sat up and played Crash Bandicoot, right? I love that game. Anyway, when I finished, we were getting tired, and I said, okay. And I saved it, and my husband said, you know what you just did? And I said, what? And he says, you just saved over his game on the memory card. And I said, no, I didn't. And he goes, fine, find it. Yeah, I had saved over top. I was freaking out. I thought, that poor kid, he's worked for weeks to get up to that level, and stupid mom had erased all of his game. Anyway, so I thought, oh no. So I didn't sleep well that night. Sunday morning, I'm up early, so waiting for him to get up. And I heard him stirring in his room, and I go in there and I say, sweetie, I've kind of got some bad news for you, but hear me out. So he's like kind of looking a bit worried. And I says, you know, that memory card, I accidentally saved my Crash Bandicoot over your game. And he started to cry, like it just upset him. He started to cry, and I says, but I'm going to buy you a brand new game if you don't cry. So he went, oh, and I bought him a brand new game. So the funny thing is that it took him no time at all to get up to that level that he was at. So anyway, but the joke, and then they bought me my own memory card, and I wasn't allowed to touch anyone else's. So yeah, I'm not very good with that stuff. But anyway, then the joke was that he was always trying to slip in his memory card, so I'd erase it again so he could get a new game. But yeah, you mess up. We all mess up sometimes. That was one of my biggest mess ups. There must be other stories but I really didn't have a lot of challenges with my kids. I got mutual respect when they were tiny. They were kind of self-disciplining from 3.5 above, okay? Right through the teen years. My son was 15, and he says, I could never rebel because you're too reasonable and easy to talk to. So yeah, leadership, there's no rebellion. There's no defiance against it, because I'm accountable too. Boy, when I messed up, they loved it when I messed up. Oh my God. They'd look at each other like this. Every time I'd mess up, I didn't follow through with something, or I forgot something. Mom, you messed up. Oh, shoot. What do you want? We'd love to go to the water slide park tomorrow. I said, okay, fine. So yeah, you can't rebel against that kind of parent, because they're accountable too. It's fair and reasonable. It's reciprocity. Give respect to get it, right? How can you rebel against that? Anyway, because I got all that discipline all sorted out and that respect mutual when they were little, I just kind of sat back and enjoyed them. It was just, we just laughed every day. We laughed. It was great. I loved it. The most fun time my whole life was parenting. Now, I'm not sure if just my life is so boring now, or if it was really that great then, but let's say it was really great. I think it was. Okay. It's very slow today. It's 4th of July. So I'm surprised anyone turned up, because most people are in the States. I remember when I first moved to Australia in 1989, and I was there for like 20 years. Anyway, when I first moved there, everyone there called the United States America. And back then, Canadians, we didn't call it that. We called it the States. And but there's states in Australia too. So yeah, everyone called it America. And it took me a while to adjust to that. I thought, well, we're part of America too. But yeah, I knew they were Americans, but yeah, it was quite funny. Just funny, different places, different things. Canadian here. Hi, Shar. Okay. And when they start hitting, I have a mini course on hitting if you want to check that out, if they're under 3. Otherwise, put no hitting on the behavior board. That is my example on the behavior board. The behavior board is completely free. Oh, I panic for a second because I have to be moving on in about 5 minutes to Instagram. I'm going to look up my stories because you asked about memorable stories, and I love telling stories. I just don't think about them very often. I'm going to tell you a funny story about my parents. This is what I came from, my parents. I was adopted at birth, and so I came late. I do have a brother, but he's like 16 years older. So we didn't grow up together. I kind of grew up like an only child. Anyway, like he wasn't fighting me for my Barbies or anything. You get the idea. So anyway, my mom, whenever she was baking or cooking, which she loved to do, I was in the nook in the kitchen, and I had an easy bake oven. So whatever she was baking, she'd give me like the pie crust, the filling, and I'd make my own little pie. And they were disgusting, I'll tell you. Mom's was beautiful. Mine was a little hard, crunchy. And my dirty hands, they were all black. It was disgusting. Anyway, so here's how it went. So we both cook our pies, and we were chatting the whole time. And then Dad would come home after work, and he says, "Oh, have my girl's been baking?" And I'm like this. I was probably about 5. Anyways, "Yes, Daddy, we have." And he goes, he says, "That just smells so good. I'm going to have to taste some." And he said, "Mommy, can I have some of yours?" And so she takes a taste, and he goes, "Lillian, this is the best pie you've ever made." He says, "No one could ever top this." Now I knew it was coming, and I'm sitting there like this. And then and I said, "Try mine, Daddy." And he'd take a bite of mine, and I could hear him crunching it, trying to get through this horrible pie. And he's crunching it, and he said, "Lillian, I'm sorry to have to tell you this, but you've been beat again. Lisa's pie is the most delicious pie I've ever had in my whole life." This was me. Like, how stupid was I? I knew it was horrible, but I was still so excited that Dad said it was the best. How dumb, eh? But that's one of my favorite childhood stories was the dynamic between us. Mom was sort of the straight man. Dad was the funny one. And I was just the, oh, what a dope. Oh, I got to get going. I'm going to move over to Instagram. If you want to check out the link above, you can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, which I have one on tantrums, bedtime battles, potty training, and hitting. And then you can look up my big boot camp course. That's 3 to 12 years old. It's a 5-week course full of videos and written stuff. And I actually did a group coaching series with that. And that was just a one-off. All those are on there. So you can see all these other parents asking questions, probably the same stuff you're dealing with. Anyway, so that, or else you can look into coaching. I do have a big wait list right now. I apologize. I haven't been able to even answer you because I've had a lot of repeats coming back, and my old clients always take precedence. So yeah, so it might be they're doing great for a year or 2 or 3, and then all of a sudden the kids come up against a bully or something like that. So then they'll rehire me. So anyway, hopefully I'll look through it tonight anyway. If you're really in crisis, you can send me a direct email. Crisis means life and death stuff, not toddlers having a tantrum. It's the usually teenage stuff. I specialize in teenagers. So anyway, but you can send me a direct email and put crisis in the subject line. Anyway, okay, so I'm going to move over to Instagram now. If you want to join me over there, it's Bratbusters Parenting. If not, thanks so much for joining me, and happy 4th of July if you're in America. Take care. Bye now. Okay, that was weird. Did something weird when I was. Sometimes they change things, the way they do stuff. It really throws me off. So I'm on Instagram, and I'm on YouTube the whole time. Okay, so you've got a 28-month-old toddler. This is on YouTube, Sasha, who hasn't started speaking sentences yet, to get more into potty training. By the way, a lot of parents say to me, well, they don't understand because they're not speaking yet. They can still understand long before they're speaking, but potty training is invented for 2.5-year-olds. So the way I did it anyway. So it's all more physical, and it's a party. It's all positive. You might want to check out my course. It's one of my mini toddler courses. It's in the link in my description on YouTube there. Anyway, welcome. Happy 4th of July from New York. I'm Canadian, but I'm very aware that most people here are probably going to be American. It's your 4th of July. I can't believe you're even turning up. So thanks so much for joining me. I only had one client today. I wasn't going to have any because I'm working on other stuff right now. I got something kind of exciting coming up with toddler stuff, but I'm not sure when it's going to come out, so I can't say that yet. But anyway, we're working on it. But that was going to be my day to do that all day. But I did have this one darling client this morning. I just want to tell you about them. Anyway, they have 2 little girls. And when they impose a consequence and one kid has a chore to do as a consequence, the other one helps. Is that the cutest thing? So they help the other one with the consequence. Is that darling? Thought that was so sweet. Okay. Lauren says, we're all home with our babes in bed. That's sweet. Sweden. Hi, Sweden. So you're not celebrating 4th of July. We don't celebrate 4th of July in Canada because ours is the 1st of July, Canada Day. So, but we're very aware of our American friends down there celebrating. It's a way bigger deal in the States than it is up here in Canada. Same with Thanksgiving. Your Thanksgiving down in the States is a huge deal. Ours isn't as big a deal. Okay. So I'll just introduce myself now. If you're new here, welcome. If not, welcome back. My name is Lisa Bunnage. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on the link above, you can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, which I have 4 of them. One, did I already say this? Or was it Facebook? I'll do it again. Anyway, I think I did. I think I already introduced myself. I'll do it again. Anyway, one is tantrums, one is bedtime battles, one is hitting, and the other one is bedtime tantrum, potty training, and then hitting. Yeah. I don't know why I don't write it down anywhere. I don't know why. And then you can look at my big boot camp course, 3 to 12 years old, learning how to get respect from your kids. You give respect to get it. It's reciprocity, right? Or you can look into coaching. I do have a big wait list right now for coaching. But anyway, okay, let's get going now with your questions, and I'll do my best to answer as many as I can. And also, I do tend to scroll through just to make sure you're still here when I answer, because usually it only shows maybe 100 or 200 people that are here, but then when I end it, it'll show like maybe a few thousand have been there. So I know people come and go a lot. Toronto. Hi, Toronto. I haven't been there since the 60s with visiting family. Checking from NS. Is that Nova Scotia? New Zealand. That's where we used to ski in Queenstown because we lived in Australia. Okay, what to do when a baby bangs her head every time she throws a tantrum? You just physically restrain them. Throw a pillow under them or something. Or if they really get that bad and you can't always be there to stop it, put a helmet on their head. If you know you're going into a scene, put a little foam helmet on their head. There, you can get lots of those on Amazon or wherever. But yeah, lots of clients have used that. But they're only 11 months old. They might not connect the dots of why they're getting that, and they're going to hate it. And it's going to make the tantrum worse, but they'll survive. They won't end up with a concussion. That's the idea. So yeah, they do. They just don't understand concussions and all that stuff. They do it. Brisbane, Australia. That's where we lived in Arana Hills, which was near Fernie Hills. Yeah, that's where my kids went to. They grew up there in Arana Hills, right near the state forest there. Nova Scotia. Okay. Gold Coast. We spent a lot of time down the Gold Coast. Beautiful. We actually used to go down to, is it called Tweed? You know, the Twin Cities? Is it Tweed? Anyway, we used to go down on the border. And it's interesting. There's 2 cities that are basically connected, but one's in New South Wales and one is Queensland. We used to go right on the border down there. There's a beautiful resort that has like water slide pool and everything for the kids. And it's right on the ocean. We spent a lot of time down there. Beautiful. Fernie Grove. Oh, that's where my son went to Fernie Grove High School. Sunshine Coast, Australia. Tweed Heads. Yeah, that's Tweed. Yeah, I was close. I just shortened it. Tweed Heads. What's the other one? What's the sister city there? Indonesia. Welcome. Canary Islands. I'm Irish living here. You know what's so great about the world now? It's such a small place because of the internet and we all get to know each other. I love coaching people all over the world because I get to know a lot about their culture because I'm in their personal lives. They tell me a lot, right? So I don't like tourist attractions or anything, but I really like to know how people live. and their culture, the way they, one thing that most of the world has over us North Americans, and we suck at, it's looking after our elders. They're all very good at that. They all tend to live with their elders, but it's not, they don't even think about it. But yeah, so it's quite fascinating. There's some pluses and minuses with every culture, right? Albany Creek. Okay, Queensland. Yeah, I used to go through the state forest there to get there. They had a library up there I used to like. I think that was one of the toy libraries too in Albany Creek. Brings back a lot of memories. Oh, Coolangatta. Hello. Actually, I have quite a few Australian clients right now. Okay, how can I impose limits to a 3-year-old who doesn't speak yet? She's always throwing tantrums, most times for no reason, and we don't know what to do anymore. Okay, use the behavior board, and you set down a rule and a consequence on that behavior board. It's completely free. Check it out. Or if you want to go next level, you can look into the boot camp course. But just because a child doesn't speak doesn't mean that they can't hear and understand what you're saying. Okay, and by the way, these milestones, they're a general guide, okay? Don't get too caught up in it. I knew someone who years and years ago, they didn't evidently talk or walk till she was 3. And then the mother always used to joke and say, and then she finally got up one day, ran, and never shut up. So she was just waiting, stealthy. Yeah, those milestones get parents in a lot of trouble because you're worried, oh my God, at 6 months, they should be doing this and that and this. Yeah, it's a general guideline. They're all different. They all develop at different stages. I mean, it's kind of important to have those milestones there, but they are sort of a general guideline. Like I remember my son was born kind of long, like just a little bit. So in other words, he was going to be tall. That's what they said. Anyway, and he was 5 years older than his sister. She was 8 and he was 13, and he was a peewee. He was really like short. He was an average size 2 or 3. And then by about 5, he just sort of stopped growing for years, like just a little bit. And then, so his sister was 5 years younger. She almost caught up to him when they were 8 and 13. And then he hit, I think, 15 or 16, and he shot up 6 inches in like a year. So yeah, he's 6 feet tall now, but so you never know, right? Like they grow at different rates and everything. You have a 22-month-old biting. It's consistent corrective actions. Every time they bite, you say no and you push him away, okay? Or remove him from the fun or remove fun from him. You got to be fast, though, and you got to be consistent. When you're going to correct a behavior, you have to pick your battles and pick that one behavior and say, I'm just going to try and catch it every single time. You can't, the first bite you can't control because you don't know what's going to happen, but try and prevent future bites so they don't just get used to doing it because it does become a habit. Yeah, also I have a course on that if you're interested. Toddlers who bite, hit, etc. Not a very fancy name, but that's the worst name. Of all my courses, that's the worst name, but it says it like it is, right? Okay, so I'm scrolling ahead just to make sure you're here because people come and go in these lives. Okay, 16-month-old boy, crocodile rolls when changing nappy and big tantrum. Okay, so nappy's a diaper in case you don't know. I raised my kids in Australia, so we call them nappies there. Anyway, so yeah, I just forced my kids. If you follow through. And it might not have been on properly because I used cloth diapers too, so it was harder. I had pins and everything, or else that big, that 3-prong thing, which I never found worked that great. As they got older, it didn't work as good. Anyway, so yeah, I just held them down and fought them and got their nappy on or their diaper on. Don't let them win. Don't say, okay, like my ex-husband, what he would do was he was more the pleaser. I was the leader. He was the pleaser, and that's okay. It's often the way it goes. So long as the pleaser defers to the leader when push comes to shove with the kids as they grow. Anyway, so I would watch him and he'd say, okay, if I let you down, you can pick a toy, and then I'll put you and I'll change. They would just get worse and worse. And I'd stand in the doorway leaning up with a cup of tea, just watching the show. But when I said, I'm going to change your nappy, it got changed. I mean, it might have ended up on their foot, but they had it on. So they learned very quickly when mom said that something was going to happen, it happened. And initially they did fight me too, but they learned really quickly with me that when I said, I'm going to brush your teeth, they're going to be brushed. Might be messy, might be toothpaste all over their face, but it's going to be done. So yeah, you just have to follow through. There's no anger in this. It's just, okay, we're going to brush your teeth. No. And I'm going in for the toothbrush. As soon as I said something, it happened. And they do learn pretty quickly. They were very different with their dad than they were with me. They learned he could be manipulated a bit, which is more common. But I had a lot of experience with kids before I had ours, right? So gave me an edge. 4-year-old gets upset when I show my husband any affection. Simple hug, how to help that? Ignore it. So it's just control. That's all. Okay. Yeah, I know what you meant. Okay. You said, thank you for responding. I think what I meant to ask is how can I correct her banging her head behavior tantrum or stop it from reoccurring? You can't. This was the 11-month-old, was it? You can't stop it. You can't control that. That's yeah. You just can't. You just have to manage it when it happens. You cannot prevent a tantruming, head banging toddler from tantruming and head banging. You just have to control it, manage it. You can't prevent that. Everyone wants to prevent the bad behavior. No, you deal with it when it's happening or after it's happened. Right? That's what I would say. One of my biggest challenges with my business with parents is they all want to prevent the scenes, the fits, the tantrums, the meltdowns. Those are the lessons. That's the gold. Remember that I often say this, that 8-year-old kid who'd never met me before, I was going to work with him. I was warned, he's a handful. And as soon as we met, he said to me, just like this filthy face. And he says, if you don't give me what I want, I'm going to have a fit. And I said to him, bring it on. And he never did. He thought, oh, she knows what she's doing. I have no fear of that. I was almost disappointed he didn't. Because that is my opportunity to exercise my calm leadership. Right? Like, I don't care if you have a fit. That's your business, none of my business. Yeah. Oh, who's telling you that's your fault? Yeah. You got to get me some new friends. I always felt kind of lucky. I raised my kids in Australia, and I joined a whole bunch of mom groups when my son was born. Not so much with my daughter. We were busy with my son's activities at that point, but the first baby mom groups are saviors. Here's what it was like in Australia. I can remember us all sitting around laughing at all the stupid things we did as mothers. You think you're stupid. Wait to hear what I did. Oh, and you should hear what my stupid kid did. Like, we were all it was self-deprecating, and that's my style anyway. But yeah, there was no pressure, no showing off. It was completely like, it was so relaxed. I'll tell you a funny story. I was new to Australia. I married an Australian, moved down there 9 months to the day after I moved there. I gave birth to my son, and I didn't know how to be Australian yet. And I'm very much into assimilating. I was there for about 20 years. I never had one North American friend in those 20 years. Isn't that amazing? Just never happened. I assimilated myself into the culture. Anyway, but it took a while. It took about a year or so before the humor was very different. Russell Coight, that's Aussie Adventures and that, Kath and Kim, all that stuff. That was later on, but earlier on it took me a while to really figure it out. I thought, why are they doing that? But anyway, I got into it. So, but anyway, this was funny. I was just brand new to this baby group, mom and baby group, right? So it was my turn to host it. And we did it until the kids were all up on their feet. Then it just got too chaotic to have 10 kids running around someone's house. So we got together before they were really mobile. Anyway, so I was brand new there, and we were all new moms. And so they turned up to my place. I think we'd met 2 or 3 times before. We met every week. And they all turned up on this one day at 10 o'clock in the morning to my place. And they turned up with champagne, alcohol. And I was so confused. I thought, what a bunch of drunks. Like, they're new moms and they're going to be drinking at 10 o'clock in the morning. I was so confused. If you're Australian, do you know what was happening? Can you guess? I would love it if you could guess what was going on. If you're Australian, you'll know right away. But it was like, it went on for hours before I really understood what was happening. I didn't know the importance of this day. Does anyone, because I know I've got some Australians in here, does anyone know what that day was? I'd never heard of it. Okay. No clue. What did it mean? It was Melbourne Cup Day. Melbourne Cup Day. It's a horse race, and it's in Melbourne. And the whole country stops. No matter where you are, the whole country stops to listen. Everyone's got a bet on it. Anyway, so it's a big deal. So it was Melbourne Cup Day. And I thought, what's with these mothers turning up with alcohol at 10 o'clock in the morning? And then they kept betting. And then I said, they were all betting on this horse, and I didn't know it was a special horse. I thought they were just gamblers and drinkers, right? They were all betting on this horse. I don't think it was until my husband came home that night and he explained. He said, no, the whole country shuts down during the race. So it was funny. So now you get it, right? There was a bunch of things that I had to learn in Australia. I got a bunch of funny stories that don't pertain to parenting, but anyway, so I won't bother you. Okay, so I'm just waiting. Housewarming. That's very good guess. D on YouTube guessed, was it a housewarming? No, but that's a very good guess. I wouldn't even have thought of that. That was funny. Okay. And plus, they turned up with silly hats. I'll tell you one more thing about that. When my son, or whenever the baby started turning 1, they sing happy birthday. It's very different over there. Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday to whoever, happy birthday to you. And then they go, hip, hip, hooray, hip, right? They all do. It's just the way it's done. I didn't know that. So they sing happy birthday to you. And I go, okay, let's cut the cake. And they're all going, hip, hip. I didn't know. Oh, it's funny. But I was there for 20 years. It was hard coming back to Canada. I just came back because my mother wasn't well. And anyway, it was hard assimilating back into Canada because I'd never been a mother here. Okay. Because every country's different, in how they parent. The hardest part for me, and I know it's North America, it's not done, but in Australia, the schools, grade schools, like 1 to 7, they can't function without, I'm in Vancouver, by the way, they can't function without parent involvement. They rely very heavily on parents being involved in classrooms. You're sitting there supporting the teacher. That's not done here at all in North America. Do you know why? Because in Australia, we know you sit at the back of the class and you shut up and you do whatever the teacher tells you. We're very respectful. Whereas in North America, they'd be taking notes and trying to take, you know what I mean? They'd be telling the teacher what to do. So yeah, it wouldn't work here. That's what they told me. Because I said, well, can I just sit in the class and support you with the difficult kids? No, that's not done here. So I was very glad that I raised my kids in Australia because I was in school every day supporting the teachers. Manitoba. Excellent. My mom was from Winnipeg. She hated it because she was born 1922. They went through the Depression and they lived in Winnipeg, which in Canada, it's in Manitoba. It's in the middle of Canada. And it was very cold and they had no heat. They were poor. And imagine living in Winnipeg when you're poor with no heat. And she hated Winnipeg just because, they had no heat. Not a good place to be with no heat. It can get like -40 or something there. I'm going back to see the start of your comment because I'm curious what you said to start with. Sorry, I might not be able to find it. No, it's too far back. Sorry. Okay, let's get back. Let me get organized now. Let's get back into parenting stuff. I went off on a tangent. Just because it's a smaller group today. It's only 86 people in here because it's 4th of July. So a lot of you are out celebrating. Okay, my 22-month-old whines and cries over not getting her way. We're still doing the trying to distract her thing. Why are you distracting her? That's a reward. But I've heard you say that ends at 18 months. It ends at 16 months. Do I let her cry it out? Yeah, just ignore her. She's whining because she didn't get her own way. Just ignore her. Yeah, you don't distract. Distraction past that 16-month age is just a reward. Because you never distract with broccoli, right? You're always distracting with something fun. You're actually rewarding the whining. So she's learned. She's trained you. She knows that. Okay, how to be a leader to an under 2-year-old. It's an investing in tomorrow kind of thing. But they do start to catch on. Like my kids learned very young that when I said something, I meant it. It's going to happen. Like we're going now. And if they didn't want to go, we were going anyway. Whereas their dad was more likely to negotiate and bargain with them. And that's what most parents do. But I had tons of experience with kids before I had my own. So I was definitely the leader. But they learned at a very young age. I followed through with what I said. When I said, it's bath time, they were in the bath whether or not they wanted to be or not. It was just the way it was. So they just learned and they just gave in easily with me, like past, not so much. My son, he had tantrums up until about 3. And then I think his last tantrum was 3.5 because he knew that it was never going to work with mom. But yeah, you use consistent corrective actions and you say what you mean and you mean what you say. You follow through. Okay. And be careful what you say. Parents say, well, that's really hard to do. Not if you're careful with what you say. Don't say something unless it's going to happen. You got to be willing to go through that. So consequences are just consistent corrective actions when they're under the age of 3. On the behavior board at 3 years old and above, there's a consequence and it's all written out. But under that, it's consistent corrective actions right in the moment, right then and there. You remove fun from them or remove them from the fun just for a couple of minutes, right? Uh-oh, okay, she's got you trained. 2-year-old asking for something. When I offer it to her, she cries and yells no. Then I put it away. Good for you. Then she asks for it. This is where you went off the rails. I offer it and she cries no again. She's like, ha ha, I'm in charge, ha ha. Yeah, no, once it's put away, that's it. That's it. And then just walk away. No anger. Just, no, I don't want it. And put it away and then walk away and do the dishes or something. Let her process that. So don't worry about it. Let her process what just happened. I have 4 and 6-year-old boys. I'm starting the boot camp course. I know it's 1 rule on the board. And how about the other rules? How do I do? Okay. So the boot camp course it's in the link above. It's my 3 to 12-year-old it teaches you how to be a leader for 3 to 12 years old, 12-year-olds. Anyway, it's a 5-week course. Anyway, so what they're asking is, what about all the other stuff? So the first week, it's 1 rule, 1 battle per week, right? By week 2, you'll have 2 rules for everybody. And then by week 3, you'll have 3. Then you go off the behavior boards in week 4. Anyway. And then what you're asking, and it's a good thing to say anyways, is when you're focusing on one thing, on that 1 rule, it's that behavior board. Like I would never use a behavior board. I deal with everything in day 1, but it's a teaching tool. It's teaching you how to get organized, calm down, and how to follow through with consequences. That's why there's only one rule. Do not apply those consequences to any other bad behaviors. They often get worse before they get better. So if they know that they're not allowed to do that thing on the board, they might get worse with other stuff. That's okay. At the most, I would say, I'll tell you what, that might be on a future behavior board. But just do whatever you were doing before. Okay. You're only mastering that 1 rule in week 1. You're only mastering what's on the behavior board in those first 3 weeks. And that's it. The whole idea is once you start getting good at this and the kids pick up on the fact you're starting to become a leader, it calms them down and the other behaviors start to get better. That's the idea behind it. So it's not like you have to address all 50 things they're doing wrong. You're just addressing 3. And then by week 4, then you address everything right in the moment. But don't rush to week 4. Everyone wants week 4. You have to earn that. Like you have to sort of learn how to calm down, get organized, get a plan. And then by week 4, you kind of know how to do it. So. Well, you want to wean your 3-year-old. Okay, how do you wean a 3-year-old? I do it like just pull off the Band-Aid, do it all in one go. And they're 3 years old. I would say, look, and you're talking about breastfeeding, right? So you say, no more breast milk. Okay, this is going to close down. I haven't got any left. You can even say that. Wear different clothes so they can't get into them, and don't provide a lap. Every time you sit down, they come for you. Get up and walk away and just start doing a chore or something. Hopefully your significant other will be around and they can sit on that lap. They might have a fit. They might get a bit upset, but that's okay. It's part of the process. You can't make everything easy for your kids. That's the please your parent style, trying to make everything easy. It's the difficult stuff that builds character. They have to learn that they're not always going to get their own way. Sometimes they're going to have tantrums, and that's okay. That's their learning curve. That's how they do it. That's how they process not getting their own way. They don't all have tantrums. They're born to have them or not. There's 4 things they're born to have or they're never going to have them. 1 is tantrums, 1 is hitting, 1 is climbing, and 1 is running. Runners and climbers often are the same because they have no physical fear. They'll often be the athletes of tomorrow, but they're also going to be the ones that end up with a lot of broken bones. But yeah, not always. You get the idea. So yeah, just wean them. Just say, that's it, no more. Closed for business. Should I ignore all jealousy fits with my 4-year-old? Is that the one where she doesn't want you hugging your husband or whatever? Yeah, I would ignore it. Yeah, I would. It's not about jealousy. It's about control. Believe it or not, it seems like it's jealousy, but it's more about control. And your attention is not on me when you guys are hugging. It's control. Look at me. Look at me. It's more like that. It's not true jealousy. Yeah. Does that make sense? Yeah, you've got attention somewhere else. Yeah. You want to master that one because you don't want them controlling you. My 11-month-old has a tantrum. I wait and file my nails. I always say that. They're still baby at that age. You can just let them have a tantrum and be filing your nails. If they try and climb into your lap, they're still a baby, though. I kind of do this more when they're like 15 months old, and then by 16 months old, then I start really ignoring. But yeah, what I might do is rather than let them climb in your lap and comfort them, I would sit down and just read a book. They can climb in your lap, but don't do a lot of comforting. Comforting is almost like condoning the tantrum. So just start reading one of their favorite books and just read it out loud. You can sort of do it that way. And then if they climb in your lap, you're just reading the book. But if you go, oh, I love you, and they're trying to get cuddles, and just go, you're all right. Okay, and the fox jumped over there. It's that kind of tone. If you go, oh, my angel, it's okay. You're kind of making it look like you feel bad about the tantrum. You don't want that. You don't want to give the tantrum any attention. Never discuss a tantrum. It's not with an 11-month-old so much, but never discuss a tantrum before, during, or after. And you don't discuss bad behavior unless you truly believe they don't understand what they did wrong. Most kids do. It's really funny because in coaching, parents will, in the first session, often tell me how intelligent their kids are. And they'll say, oh, they're just so brilliant. They're this and that. And then by week 2 or 3, they'll say, oh, well, they didn't understand the behavior board. Well, you laid it all out. Yeah. So all of a sudden they're morons, but they were like gifted geniuses last week, and now they're absolutely drooling morons. Don't get manipulated by your kids. They get it. They get this stuff. And this is like, I'm talking 3 and over, right? Sorry, I greased myself up. I bought some body oil. Does anyone use that? Geez, I just feel like a slick pit. I feel like I could grease a pan with my arms. Not a big fan of it. Okay. Jeez. It's all over me. Hitting kids over toy disputes. So they're hitting each other over a toy. I'd probably just take the toy away depending on the age. If they're 3 and over, I'd probably say, oh, you can't get along. Here's the toy. But that's kind of the hard way to go into it. If you know one kid took it away, I'd watch the perpetrator. If you know that one kid did steal it off the other, I would make sure I give it back to that other kid. And if they're 3 years old and over, I would say no grabbing toys off anyone. No grabbing stuff from other people. So that is their rule on the behavior board. Check it out. It's in the link above. And the behavior board is completely free. Yeah, I'm sorry if I don't get to your answers or your questions because I'm on Instagram at the same time, and then I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and that's where my big audiences are. So I do look at YouTube, but I get hundreds of questions in the other place. So I'm trying to keep up here. I never get to all the questions. Okay. I don't give nutritional advice like with eating, but I'll tell you what I do with my kids. Here's the question. My 3-year-old doesn't want to eat or try new things. Will act like, he puts on the whole Meryl Streep act. So he acts like he's gagging and all that stuff. What I said to my kids, I don't like pushing food on kids. I do really respect taste buds, but we didn't have any junk food in the house. My kids knew there's no ice cream, or chips or cookies or anything. Or no, I made cookies, but believe me, they were like dust balls. They were so full of healthy stuff. So they knew that they didn't have a choice. It's healthy food or healthy food. But I did make them try everything. I said, you only have to try it. And it was just like put their tongue on it. And that was all. I never force fed my kids. I said, but you have to choose. You have to have fruit and vegetables every single day. And you can choose what they are. So I'd have a whole bunch of stuff out, and then I just cooked around their taste buds. But every so often I'd make them try something new. And then they'd sometimes say, but I tried that last month. I say, yeah, but taste buds change. There was no defiance because I never pushed it on them. I just sort of laid down the law. But I was already a leader at that point, by the time they were 3. They kind of understood when mom said something. And I'm very fair and reasonable. Just have to try it. That's why there was no fighting at the dinner table. You just have to try it. If you don't like it, you don't have to eat it. And be very polite. If they'd said, oh, I hate it, I would not have been happy with that. I don't like that. They just say, no, mom, I really don't like it. I'd say, fine, then don't eat it. That's fine. You tried it. Good for you. And then just keep eating. I don't make a big deal out of it. But I never had junk food around. So they knew you can either have this healthy food or that healthy food. And I was very good at sneaking healthy stuff into everything. Like I made everything from scratch. And God, I hate cooking. It was a nightmare. But anyway, and I made all the cakes and cookies and pizza and bread, everything from scratch. But I could hide healthy stuff into anything. I could grind up spinach and seeds and all sorts of wheat germ and all sorts of healthy stuff. Oh, cauliflower was great. Very easy to hide. And I remember the first time my son had, because I grind it all up, right? My son had pizza out. He was, 3 or 4. And he says, the pizza was weird, Mommy. The sauce was red, because my sauce was brown because it had pureed spinach in it. So yeah, I'm not saying you need to do that, but that's why food was never really an issue. My son was very fussy, but I never wanted to battle over food. As long as they were getting healthy stuff into them, I didn't battle. My 3-year-old won't have medicine whatsoever. Should I pin him down? If you got to get it in him, you got to get it in him, right? So I would bribe. If it's medicine that they need, I would bribe. Yep. Hey, look, you can have 10 minutes on the PlayStation or a half hour tonight. We'll watch this show, but you got to take this first. And then I would try and put it in yogurt or try and make it, or even ice cream. I'd do whatever I had to do to get medicine into them. I would even go out and buy ice cream or make it. Oops, I got to go. I got to go over to TikTok. I'm late. Check out the link above. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, so you can look into coaching. Happy parenting. And I'm going over to TikTok. I'm on YouTube the whole time. I'm 1 minute late, 2 minutes late now. Drats, I hate being late. This is Liv on YouTube says, how about a 3-year-old boy who doesn't have much an attention span for learning? How else can I engage? What are you teaching them? I don't quite understand that. The incentive probably isn't there. I don't know what you want them to learn. Like, are you trying to do accelerated learning, which I don't believe in? Because they got enough time going to school. Plus, a lot of parents who, I'm not saying you do this, but a lot of parents who do accelerated learning, their kids end up in school and they're bored because they've already learned that. And then they lose interest in school, and it can really affect them down the road. So yeah, don't rush the education. They got enough time to be in school. Just have fun. Go to the park and roll in the mud with them. Let kids be kids as long as possible. Okay, let's get going with the live now. If you're new, welcome. My name is Lisa Bunnage. I'm a parenting coach. If you look in the link above, you can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. And I do these lives pretty much every day. I used to do them every single day for 2 years, and then I just got super busy, and I haven't been able to get on here every single day. But I'm usually on here 5-6 days a week doing lives. And this is the only place I answer parenting questions. Unless you're in one of my courses and you don't understand something in the course. But sometimes people will buy like a little mini course and then they'll ask me questions about everything else. I'm like, no, you're not getting free coaching with that. Doesn't work that way. Okay, let me see. 20-month-old kicking during diaper changes. I'm pregnant. It's a safety concern. Thinks it's funny. Well, I don't know what to tell you. Like, that's a physical thing. You just maybe change them upside down so they can't kick you. I don't know physically what you want from me. Like, you just have to get it done, right? Oh, I got some kids on here. All that snotty stuff. Does your mom know you're on here? I don't get a lot of snotty stuff anymore. I used to, and I love that stuff, right? Well, the smart stuff, not just the stuff, but yeah. I don't get a lot of that anymore, but I'll tell you a funny story. When I first went on TikTok two and a half years ago now, I blew up really fast. And what was happening was I found this out later on. My competitors were posting what they call dual videos. They would do a video. They would show one of my videos. They kept pausing it and then telling everyone how horrible I was and insulting them. And you can take anything I say and make it look bad, or maybe I say bad stuff. Who cares? Anyway, do you know what they were doing? They had big followers too, and all their followers were coming over to me, and they were the ones who were driving my channel up. And then I just let it happen. I never said anything. And about a year after that, I think I hit about 600,000. It happened really fast. And then I couldn't stand it anymore. And then I said, you know what you're doing? Competitor. I don't know who they are. People told me this. So, because I never look at anyone else. And so then it stopped like that, just like that. I said, you're the ones who drove my channel, right? Because you did all those dual videos. Isn't that great? I love karma. I just love it. But I started feeling bad for them. They just make themselves look bad when they do that anyway. It was funny. Okay. Okay. My son, I need to know the age. My son says he hates me. I need to know the age. And put the whole question in there, because if you just put down the age, I might not remember what the question was. Okay, I'm going to look on YouTube now. Really curious on your approach on twins, because it seems impossible to immediately correct behavior when they're both doing it in separate directions. Now, they have to be toddlers because you don't use the behavior board with twins. So this is 1 and 2 year olds. You can literally work on one kid at a time. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I do have a lot of clients who have twins or toddlers, or twins or triplets even. And you can literally, especially with bedtime battles, you can just do one kid at a time. Get it sorted out with one, then you can go on to the next. It's tricky, but if you got twins, you can only do what you can do, right? It's not like I have a twin program. It's just, this is what you do. And if you can't manage it, then just do one kid at a time. Sort it out with that one kid, then sort it out with the next. Okay, my son is 3 years old and he's very smart. He knows 3 languages, but still he doesn't talk. Please help. So, well, he's 3 years old. Sometimes they don't talk till they're 3. I knew someone years and years ago, she didn't walk or talk till she was 3 years old. Then the mom used to always joke about it and say, one day she got up, ran, and never shut up. So she was just saving it all up. So I can't say don't worry about it. If you're really worried, go to the pediatrician. But it's not that uncommon that a 3-year-old doesn't talk. It's not that uncommon. Do you know why? Because they don't really care if they're understood. So they don't have the need to talk. They can sort of get their point across physically. You've helped us so much. My husband and I adore you. Oh, that's so sweet. It's really cute when I get new clients with coaching. Sometimes they'll just go, oh, you're live. Oh, this is exciting. They get, because they've been watching me for so long. And then we actually sort of meet, not in person, but on. And also, if you live in Vancouver and you see me out in the street, and I can always tell when someone's recognized me. This is what it looks like. It's usually a mom pushing a stroller, and she'll go like this. And she'll just keep staring at me. Can you please come up and say hi to me? Because if you don't, I assume I got a booger hanging out of my nose. Like, because it's a really weird stare that I get. And my daughter said it's because they recognize, a lot of people do come up and say hi. But can you please just come up and say hi? I recognize you from online, so that I don't have to go like this. Okay, my kid only throws tantrums with me, not his dad. He's 2. Why is that? It means, well, at 2, they usually throw tantrums with anybody, but they'll usually start to calm down with the authority or the leader. By the way, the authority style parenting, the old style parenting, they will rebel in the teen years often. They'll never rebel against a leader. It just doesn't happen. But so that's why your husband is probably the authority, or there's another one actually. He's either the authority or the leader, more so, or he gives in to everything, right? He might just give in to everything. Sometimes I'm hired because a kid is acting out at school, but not at home. And I'll say, well, maybe the teacher's just a better leader. And then they say, but he never does anything at home. So he's perfect at home. So we must be leaders too. And then I'll find out, I'll say, well, do you just give in to everything to avoid a scene? Yeah, they do. So if you're trying to do that pleaser stuff where you're just trying to avoid a tantrum at any cost and giving them whatever they want, that will backfire big time down the road. But yeah, the teachers won't put up with that. They don't do that. So they're getting spoiled rotten, getting whatever they want at home. And then they go to school and the teacher doesn't do that. So they kick up a big stink, right? That can happen. I think I got that mixed up when I was talking about it. Whatever. Okay. Ohio. Hi, Ohio. Okay, can you go in depth a little on how to be a leader? You know, the pool story tells it all. The pool story is the very first video on my channel. I actually pinned it myself. My daughter does all my social media. In 13 days, she's leaving her corporate job. In 13 days, she's going to be with me full time. I am so excited. She is my marketing and planning director. She does all the planning, all the marketing, all the videos. And but yeah, we're holding off on a lot of stuff because she had this other job. But now things have taken off with the business. So she's joining me full time. But yeah. Anyway, why did I talk about that? Oh yeah, it's just I'm so excited. Anyway, but yeah, the pool story. Check that out. It just summarizes it. Should I tell the pool story? Okay. I'll just synopsize what it's all about. I deal with bad behavior, then I focus on the good kid. I don't shame, I don't blame, I just deal with it. Say that was bad, here's your consequence. Now let's connect, let's bond, okay? So that's the pool story in a nutshell. So yeah, the goal is, as a leader, the goal is they like themselves when they're with you. It's not that they like you, which they will anyway, but they like themselves when they're with you. You bring out the best in them. You know, I don't let anything go. I deal with all bad behavior, but there's no anger. It's just very quick. Hey, that was bad. Here's your consequence. Anyway, do you want to go to the park? That's how it's done. I don't let anything go, but I don't focus on it. Where you put your focus, where you put your energy is what grows. I focus on the connection with the kids. That's where all my energy goes to, is connecting with the kids. Anyway, that's the pool story, explains that. I've got another story. It's about teenagers. It's just the pool story on steroids. I only tell that one during coaching. Anyway, it's a bit next level, but it's the same idea. I don't let anything go, but then I focus on the good kid. That's leadership. Now, think about it this way. The closest relationship I can think to, that this is like is a sports coach that the kids all love, but there's rules, right? Like if you're coaching baseball, all the kids love you, you're fun, but there's rules. They have to run from first, second, third, and then home. They can't go from first to third and home, or else they're sitting on the bench for an inning. There's consequences. But then when they come out again, then the coach is all over them. Okay, you can get out there now and have fun. So you see, you're always trying to bring out the best in them. You're not berating them or shaming them for what they do wrong. And the kids love that coach. They're respectful. They look up to that coach. Have you ever had anyone like that in your life? A teacher, a grandparent, a sports coach that you look up to? How did you treat that person? Great, because they made you feel good, right? That's the goal. Did they take any crap? No. That's what a leader is. So anyway, that's it. Okay. Does your bedtime battles apply with co-sleeping? Oh, no. Bedtime battles is only when they're sleeping alone in their own bed. In my book, I'm not saying you couldn't or shouldn't co-sleep. I have no opinion on it, but my bedtime battles course is only for if they're in their own room in their own bed. Did you have your children in more than one sport hobby at a time? My daughter was, oh God, she just loves being scheduled 24/7. She's still like that. My son's not a joiner. I'm more in between, but my son's more like me. We're not really as much joiner, but I always made him join something until he was a teenager. Then you got to let go of stuff, let them, make more decisions on their own. But up until high school, he had to join something. I think even grade 8, I made him join just one thing, because he just wasn't a joiner. So, that's fair enough. We're all different. He's 34 now and he's still not a joiner. Whereas my daughter is always joining everything. She's 29. So just different personalities. Why am I always telling my 3-year-old son to listen to his mom? I don't know, because that certainly doesn't work. So I don't know. I don't know why you do that. But yeah, how's that working? Okay. Whoops. How do you handle 2-year-olds thinking hitting is funny? Well, yeah, you just follow through with the consequence. They won't be laughing for long if you take them away from the fun away from them. Don't get caught up in how they react. A lot of parents, you want to act, not react. You want them to react to you. So quit reacting to all that stuff. That's their power. If you're reacting to that laughter, they're in charge. They're manipulating you. Yeah, they're manipulating your emotions and your anger and all that. So yeah, don't let that happen. That's a good analogy. I always say I don't do analogies. Oh, the coach. That's the only good analogy I have. I'm horrible at them. I just am the worst. I'm also horrible at bedtimes, making up bedtime stories. I was banned from it when my kids were young. I'll tell you why. I don't even know why I did this, but it's stupid. Every time I made up a story at bedtime, I killed everyone off. They were falling off cliffs, getting hit by trucks. My kids were like horrified. No, don't tell us this. Don't make up a story, Mom. Don't. We'll go to sleep right now. You know, I figured out why. I was raised on the Roadrunner and all those horrible things where everyone was getting killed and flattened. So to me, that was a story. You know, they're getting flattened by bulldozers and stuff. So, and I think that's why I did it. But I was always killing everyone off. My kids are like horrified. So yeah, I wasn't very good at storytelling. Okay, it says, how do I handle? Okay, this is always tricky for me, and I'll tell you why. How to act when a 2.5-year-old wants mommy when you're holding a 4-month-old. That's one of the most challenging coaching scenarios I get in my business because it's physical. You can't pick up a 2-year-old when you're holding a 4-month-old. I would just say, not right now. They're just going to get used to it. It's just going to be rough. It's a rough transition time for a toddler to adjust to having a baby who's taking mommy and daddy away from them. Okay, there's no easy way around that. None. Or I've never found it, ever. Yeah. They just don't understand why that baby's taken their parents away. And that's understandable. Imagine if your husband or your wife came in with a new spouse. Oh, you see what I mean? Like it's upsetting. You don't have to get used to that unless you're into that, I guess. But you see what I'm saying? It's upsetting. It's like that person was yours, or those two people were yours. Now someone else has them. You see, it's a tough transition. You can't make it easy. If you could, I think I would have figured it out by now. I know there's lots of advice out there, but nothing I've ever heard that I thought would be any good. Just takes time. That's all. Oh God, you're going to hate me. You talk to him right down in his eyes and say, I love you, but just let me take care of the baby. Yeah, you're trying to reason with a 2-year-old. You can give it a go. I wouldn't do that, but you can give it a go. That's the mini therapy session stuff. They don't usually care about words. Any advice on raising a boy as a single parent? Well, I was a single mom, and I raised a son and a daughter. My ex-husband was around too, but they lived with me. No, I don't really have any advice. You know, the most important thing, I think there's a whole bunch of stuff that's important, but I would say, especially as they get older, your number one skill as a parent is to be a really good listener. You listen to understand and show empathy. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with. Yeah. And don't give advice unless they ask for it. And even then, I never really gave advice. They'd have a problem and I'd say, well, what do you think you should do? Let's figure it out. And we'd work on it together. So, yeah. Yeah, so long as you're available and you're a safe place to land without judgment. Lots of boys are raised by single moms and they do just fine. It's nice if they have both, but whoops, I'm going to get going, actually. I've got something I have to do. Anyway, if you want to look in the link above, you can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. I've got a wait list for coaching, but you never know what I'll take on because I like to mix up the ages. So anyway, thanks so much for joining me. I'll be back again, hopefully tomorrow sometime, but I never know what time aside from Tuesdays and Thursdays are my only regularly scheduled lives. Anyway, happy 4th of July to my American friends and the rest of you. Have a nice day. Take care. Bye now.